documentary photos here.
All right, cool. Do you like some water?
I have some.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Thank you so much.
Okay, well, photographers are at it for an extra couple of seconds. I'll remind you of the routine. If you want to ask a question, please raise your hand a little bit ahead of time so that we can see you from here, and more importantly, so you can get the mic. When you have the mic, please stand up and ask your question, one question at a time. Otherwise, we're going to have 2 or 3 tier questions. And sit down and give the mic back. Thank you very much. Bonjour à tous and hello everyone. Bienvenue à la conférence de presse concernant.
Welcome to the press conference on You
never
Were
really
Never
here.
Really Here.
Welcome to the press conference for You Were Never Really Here, qui est donc présenté le dernier film en compétition.
This is the last film in competition.
Shown tonight. Much as I will go against my French principles, I will start introducing the people who are here by the man. God, where do we start? Let's start with Cannes. In 1995, he surprised everybody in Cannes by his performance in Gus Van Sant's To Die For.
That was in Cannes? It was?
Yeah. Okay. Let's take another date that he's famous for. Maybe not in Cannes, maybe in Cannes. Commodus in Gladiator.
Oh.
What? No?
Well, I don't know. What are you asking?
I'm not asking yet anything. I'm introducing yourself.
Oh, hi. Nice to meet you.
Okay, I'll skip through a whole bunch of things.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, right.
Paul Thomas Anderson and Spike Jonze and just about everybody. Joaquin Phoenix.
Hi.
Before I switch to the lady sitting next to me, there's a young lady in the audience who plays a very important part opposite Mr. Joaquin Phoenix. He has most of the lines. She has 3 lines.
But really
maybe
good
4.
ones.
Maybe 4.
We're still cutting it, so that might change.
Okay, Ekaterina Samsonov.
Oh.
Okay, back to my notes now, here. She comes from Scotland. That's rare. She comes from Glasgow. That's even more rare. In '96, she got an award. Her first short film got an award in Cannes. It was called Small Death, and it was her graduation short. In 1998, she got also the Grand Prix, the Prix du Jury in Cannes for Gasman. Then she switched to feature films. In 1999, she had Ratcatcher. 2002, it was in Cannes. 2002, More Than Color. And that was in Director's Fortnight. We need to talk about Kevin in 2011. Then we'll probably at some point ask you about a project that you may have had that I would be very curious about. And anyway, today in competition with You Were Never Really Here, Lynne RAMSAY. Now, if I went through the documentation about you really thoroughly, you have, from your first film, short film, almost insisted on the fact that you wanted to be the director and the writer and maybe sometimes the producer.
Yeah.
Yes? Now, does that mean that if you don't write,
Yeah.
the film or the script, it doesn't really belong to you?
No, I think there's something you can sometimes find, a good script, but they just don't happen very often. I think read a good one last week for the first time in 20 years. So there you go. Yeah.
Okay. First question.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi, Jason Gober from Screen Anarchy and Birth Movies Death. First of all, Lynne, congratulations. The film is extraordinary.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you could talk about, exactly as Henri said, maintaining your vision through the entire process and ensuring that you actually get this film to kick as much ass as it actually does. And Joaquin, if you could talk about your physical presence that you bring to the character, you Hulk through the film. It's this incredible physical presence. If you could talk about what you actually do as a performer to actually get in the mind of somebody who doesn't say very much, but absolutely makes a mark on screen.
Want to answer first?
Not really.
I forgot the question. No, maintaining your vision. I don't know. That's really hard. You just need to find really good producers and lovely, good people to work with. And we had a great production company called Why Not, who support Auteurs and Pascal Cochot and Rosa Atab and Jim Milston was an amazing producer who did Under the Skin, and I think he really protected me through this. And it's been a very fast shoot, a very fast production, and I think we've kept the spirit of it somehow, just by going for it, and not thinking too much. What you might do about your
But it's like I'm thinking in my head and it sounds stupid, and then when I say it out loud, it's going to be even worse. And
just
who
say it.
cares? But
Yeah.
I mean, it seems so obvious what I'm gonna say. But I was obviously a kid that grew up with a lot of trauma, and always felt that he couldn't protect himself or others. So there's obviously this need as you grow older to become as powerful as you possibly could, right? And yet when we meet him, these are in his kind of later days, and he's middle-aged, and so a lot of that has gone away. And we very much wanted to stay away from the kind of typical physical body that you find with these kind of characters, or the kind of Hollywood cut thing. So we want him to be kind of as big as possible as this kind of armor, but also see that it's kind of gone away, and it's kind of somebody in their later days. I guess that was kind of the idea behind it. I hope that's all right. Sounds really stupid.
Question over there.
Hi, Donald Clark from the Irish Times. Tremendous film, Lynne.
Thank you.
I'm interested you're still cutting it. Don't cut it too much.
Okay, we won't.
Don't do too much to it. Put the credits on at the end. Don't do it.
We worked with Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead. He's an amazing musician, so we want to, he's done so much beautiful music. I want to, explore that a bit more. But,
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I actually want to ask you, it sounds like a banal question, but it's interesting. I want to ask you about economy. The film is listed as being an hour and 35 minutes. It's actually about 85 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just the right length. Was it a conscious decision to make a short film? Because there are so few short films in these sort of competitions.
Yeah.
So talk about your notions about that, the notions of being economical, because it really is economical.
I think some films deserve to be long, but this is a sort of kind of noir. And it's many things, but I didn't want to bore you all it can. There's nothing worse than being at the end of this festival and watching a 2.5-hour long film that's like self-indulgent scenes in it. So we just were trying to be really economy with it, and I like short films myself. All of my films have been 90 minutes. They might feel like 2 hours to some people, but so yeah.
Question
Hi, it's Rodrigo Fonseca from TV Globo Brazil. A question for both. What kind of hero or anti-hero Joe is? Could you say a few words about this heroic or anti-heroic side, please?
Can you answer that?
Can I answer that? I don't know. Yeah, let's. I think it was something that was it was a real process, kind of making this film and discovering the character, and I think it went through a great evolution. And we wanted to get away from that idea of the male hero. In some ways, remember, Jim Wilson, the producer, would often describe it as the impotence of masculinity. So we kind of established this character who seems very capable, but in some ways he's not. And I think what's maybe interesting about this film for a genre film is that really the girl is ultimately the one that saves herself. And so it's not about like man coming in and kind of saving the girl. And so I think that's something that we kind of played with, that evolved as the story, kind of as the filming process went on.
How early in the project did you come in, Mr. Phoenix? Did you help influence the writing, the script writing, or not at all?
God, no.
No, he did. He really did. He was there 2 months before. I've never.
Well, this, I mean...
3 months, maybe, you know?
Well, no, the thing is that this came together really, really quickly. I was meant to do something else, and that didn't happen, and Lynne and I had spoken already, and I said, do you think you could make it this summer? Which was like 2 months away. And she said, yeah. I thought, can you really get a movie together that quickly? And somehow she did. So it came together really, really quickly,
Yeah,
right? Wasn't it like 2 months? I mean, like
2
right
months
after we
prep,
called, you started getting your visa stuff together and went to New York.
Exactly. I didn't even think I'd finished the script, and then I was going into prep, and then getting visas to go to New York. So I was living in Santorini at the time, and so it was really, you know, a bit crazy. But I think some of that spirit was good, you know. We didn't get. I think it was good because we were just.
Yeah, I think a lot of it was written by Lynne at like 2 a.m. of like a Wednesday night before we started shooting at 6.
That's
So it was like virtually every day. It felt like there were changes and new ideas and things that were coming up and evolving as the process went on. It wasn't typical.
Were you as much part of it, of the script, the writing, the finalizing of the script, Ekaterina?
Is this on? Yeah. I didn't really have anything to do with writing of the script, but Lynne kind of had us do a lot of improv, so we didn't always stick exactly to it a lot. So, but I didn't really have anything to do with writing it.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Brian Johnson, Maclean's Magazine, Canada. Congratulations, this is an exquisitely directed, edited, and acted film. It seems to take the thriller conventions and just turn them totally inside out. What we normally see in the center of the frame is off camera, and what's normally off camera is in the center of the frame. And given that it's so adventurous in terms of juggling that narrative around, I'm just wondering if you can talk about, you know, how you came to that, Lynne, and how they worked, and Joaquin, how, as an actor, sort of sustaining a continuous performance through this, how does that sort of editing structure, all the sort of elision, affect what you do, if at all?
I don't pay attention to anything.
It's not true.
No, I think that way of working, the way you work affects the whole process, right? Again, it's hard to explain, but it was something that just felt like alive, that it was constantly changing, and I think that's what the character was experiencing, right?
Yeah.
So it works for the character. I think in some ways we didn't really know what was going to happen next.
Yeah, that
we
was
didn't quite know how we were going. Nothing really felt fixed. We kind of had this rule where we said, like, a scene isn't just a scene. Like, this isn't just a scene about driving to this store or buying this thing or whatever it is. It could also be this. And so we would try different versions of things. And so I think it probably helped that there was kind of an uncertainty of how the day was going to unfold. And there's something really exciting about that, and I think it makes everybody stay really focused and work really hard, because sometimes when you have a script that's perfectly kind of laid out and you go, oh, well, we're just shooting this scene and that scene, everyone kind of just settles into their job, and there wasn't that feeling on this set. There was no just, this is your job and we just show up and do this. I think we were always trying to uncover something else, and we would shoot something and say, that's not enough. And Lynne's like a director who, there's a scene where when the guys come into the house and I go down with a gun and I'm holding a gun and I said, this is ridiculous. It's like a TV show. So I can't walk around with a gun. And she's like, give me the fucking gun. And then she goes around and it's like she tries it also. And she's like, yeah, that's not good. That's ridiculous. And she said, oh, well, then I'm just going to cut it like this and let's not even do that. And so it was something that was like constantly changing, and it was really exciting to make a film that way.
Yeah, for me it was like the same, just really exciting. Every day was so exciting. I felt we were pushing ourselves all the time, and like trying to go beyond what it was, and I think that's, it felt like a really special experience for me, really. It was like, I was enjoying it so much every day, even though it was super intense and super hot, and didn't sometimes know what I was doing, but it just was a amazing creative experience. Like when you enjoy going to work, I mean, I'm so lucky, so yeah.
Question over here.
Hello, Jamie Graham from Total Film Magazine in the UK. Lynne, this is a strikingly original film, but it also feels like you kind of consciously evoke Taxi Driver in places. So I was wondering how much that was on your mind, and also, Joaquin, if the shadow of Mr. Travis Bickle fell on you at all when you were making this film.
Well, obviously I love that. It's a great movie, and it being partly a genre novella, it had some of those elements, but I never really thought about other films while I was making it, really. I watch documentaries all the time. I don't watch feature films, so... but, I love Paul Schrader, I love those great movies, so, maybe that's somewhere, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah, not consciously, but that, Taxi Driver is probably, one of the movies that really made me want to be an actor, and a particular kind of actor, so I'm sure that, it's influenced me in some ways, but there was no conscious decision to do that. I thought we were making a comedy.
So did I, actually. It felt like that sometimes. It's great.
It did.
Next time, yeah.
Okay, I have a quick question about a project that you may have had that somehow the information surfaces and then falls on the side in the end and resurfaces. Had you any plans of directing Moby Dick, Herman Melville's Moby Dick, in space?
I did a trailer, like I cut a trailer. It was pretty cool, actually, but it was kind of something inspired by that. It was not like Moby Dick in space. It was like the monster was a signed monster, actually. So I still want to make a sci-fi. I've got a couple of cool ideas, I think, but every time you talk about them, someone else is making them. I hear someone else is making Moby Dick in space, so there you go. Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, very different one, I'm sure.
Question over here.
Karen Batt for the Huffington Post. In all your films, you have offered us tremendously powerful experiences of trauma. Ratcatcher, Morven Collar, and here once again. I feel that you've gone far more experimental here, which is fascinating, with the hallucinatory cutting. And I was wondering if you could comment on these choices. It's not a strict narrative. We piece it together. And it's quite fascinating to get into the multiple traumas of the character. And second question, do you really believe that trauma can be healed? Because the last image of all your films has a healing moment, and here it's a beautiful day.
Yeah, yeah, it's a nice line to end this movie. No, I think all filmmakers, or the filmmakers I really like, Bergman in particular, are kind of amateur he's a psychologist, so you're interested in the human condition, and I think trauma is part of that. And it's a sort of traumatizing time at the moment. And so I think I just like to explore characters, like their flaws and their their beauty in all different aspects, and this was a real opportunity to do so, you know. Yeah. Well, I work with an amazing team. I've got a brilliant sound designer, Paul Davis. I'm working with Johnny Greenwood, Joe Beanie, the editor. He works in documentary mainly for Werner Herzog, and I just think that they were just all behind me on this, and then we had fun in the cutting room, and you know, we had fun. It was the best mix I ever did, even though afterwards I did it in 5 days and I felt my ears were shot out. I thought I would have post-traumatic stress disorder, to be honest, because hearing those gunshots again and again and again, it was mental. You normally do something like that in 3 weeks, and we did it in 5 days. But the team I had, I've got to give them credit for making this movie, because it's not just me, and obviously Joaquin as well. So, yeah.
Question over there.
Yeah.
Robin Pomeroy from Reuters. In a lot of hitman movies, if that's what this is, the gun is central.
Yeah.
Guns are often fetishized. In this movie, it's all about the hammer. Can you explain some of the most chilling moments right from the start?
Well, what does that say? You know.
Well, exactly. Why did you choose
Well,
the
the hammer drops. No, it's in the novella. He obviously used that in a kind of, it was a particular way, and it was part of his past, and it's kind of ridiculous, but it's also kind of amazing, because it's like, you can go quite silently somewhere and come back. I mean, we've seen a lot of gunfire movies, and I wasn't interested in, like, the stuff you've seen a million times. So it's like, I was trying to think about the violence to show it in a kind of different way, a post-violence almost. So yeah, it kind of bores me to see that stuff. And, I mean, I enjoy the balletic stuff, and that's the glamorization as much as other people. But it kind of bores me as well. So I try to approach it in a different way.
I think in some ways he was leaving his mark. It's a very unique thing to do, to use a hammer instead of a gun.
Yeah.
And there's almost some kind of pleasure in knowing that he's left this kind of specific indentation.
Yeah, that was part of that character too,
Jazz Ebert.
We couldn't afford guns. Also.
No, we couldn't afford guns. That's
Hi, Chaz Ebert from RogerEbert.com. Joaquin, you are usually chosen for roles that have immense intensity. I was wondering, how do you describe your acting? Are you a method actor? The other question is, there's also a very vulnerable side to you, both on and off film, and I wonder if you like to do more comedies.
Oh, we're planning a comedy next week. We're doing a comedy, yeah.
And also for you, Lynne, your films are very muscular. You and Catherine Bigelow, of women directors, I find very interesting. Because often you don't care whether people kind of like your characters. That's not what they're about. And you have a certain way of directing that, to me, I'd actually like to see you direct a superhero movie, because I think you would bring something to it that none of the men directors have done so far.
Will you be in it?
Would you be interested in that?
Yeah, do you want to be in it?
Why not?
I'd love to do a superhero movie. I love comic books, when I was a kid. So, but they don't ask me to do things like that, So, anyway, thank you very much. Sorry, I passed that back over.
No, I was really happy. You got it. No, I'm not. I'm whatever is called for that particular movie. I don't really have a set process. All that's important is that you don't feel self-conscious when you're working, right? And so whatever might get me there, and so basically you usually feel really, or I feel really embarrassed, and so sometimes it feels good to interact with people on set, and that makes me feel more comfortable. And other times I can't look people in the eye when I'm working, and so it's more of a solitary experience. But it just depends on the movie, what you feel. On this one, we just joked around constantly. Yeah. She would just come in my trailer and sing karaoke.
That's true. No, it was a real laugh on set, considering, it was like, how intense it was making this movie. We really had fun as well, And I think that just sort of breaks the ice a bit, and we tested each other, and the DP as well. I've got
Tom London, the cinematographer.
It's not called Tom London.
His
it's
name
called Tom
is
Townend.
Tom London. It's his real name. There's been a typo. So
No, he's
please
called
write
Tom.
his real name, because it was really offensive when people talk cinematography.
no.
And they said Tom Townend. And
But his
so
name's
name is
Tom
Tom London is his name. And he has an incredible sense of humor.
He's so funny. He was just like lighting everything up. But Joaquin truly thought his name was Tom London for the whole half of the film. But he's actually called Tom Townend.
No, it is Tom London.
So he's changing his name.
We'll take a vote after. It's a better name, Tom London.
Tom London.
It's a great name.
Yeah, all right, cool.
So this kind of stupidity is usually what happens.
Yeah.
Sir.
TV channel Inter Ukraine. My question is for Mr. Phoenix. You've got a really tough role, so tell us please, have you taken some special military training, consulting some specialist, or just at least inspired by any character or film? Thank you.
No, I didn't do any military training. I gotta be honest, it's a really tough character. I want to dispel this myth. It really, I can't believe you think it was so tough. We really did just kind of, we really had a laugh, honestly.
But he did work out a lot. I mean, he got super.
Whatever, who cares?
Come
No
on,
one gives a shit.
So
It
all
doesn't
right,
matter.
whatever. I don't care.
But mostly we just had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did actually. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think you're. Well, anyway, I'm not saying anything. But he works out.
Don't say anything.
He works out.
Don't say anything.
He trains a lot.
You're doing so good. You're doing so good.
Sorry.
Question over there.
Hello. Well, first and foremost, this movie just vaporized me. It's so good. It's a cinematic masterpiece. Lynne, just like your previous movies, you very visually showed the internal life of the characters. So how do you connect visuality and the internal life of the characters? And for Joaquin, just one question. Could you talk about the suffocation scenes inside the plastic bag and the towel? Thank you. In the scene.
First of all, I'll just visually, it's really hard. From a kid, I always was drawing and stuff, and so I just think in that way. So it's really hard to. I don't think it's prescriptive. It just pops into my head really, and it's hard to describe. But I think it's more I think on a language of film, and obviously from experience, we were very intentional how we shot the movie, and especially the opening sequence. You don't see him, and you don't know who he is, and keeping a mystery up, that was important. So I think I kind of think in that way, that tells a story through pictures. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, anything else?
What was it? What did you
Plastic bag.
Oh,
suffocation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I guess, I mean, he's, it's not really an effective way to kill yourself, right? As much as there's a part of him that considers suicide in some ways. A plastic bag that you're just holding is not really gonna work. But what it does achieve is kind of putting you in a space where everything seems to kind of go silent in some ways, and I think that's kind of, he's just looking for a reprieve. There's something that's something self-harming about it, but also I think it's just trying to get this moment of silence from the sounds in his head. Kind of very early on, Lynne sent me audio files of fireworks and explosions, and she was like, "This is what's in his head." And so it was kind of this feeling where somebody is just bombarded by their thoughts and their memories. And so it's like this attempt to try and silence that in some ways, if not just for a moment. It makes sense because I just made that up right now. She didn't send me any audio files. No, she didn't.
Right, okay.
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 Hi,
Hey, dude.
Rubin Liang from Culture
Hey,
Trip
dude.
New York.
It's okay. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Hi, this question is for Ms. RAMSAY. So, can you talk about the soundtrack of this film and the collaboration with Johnny Greenwood,
Yeah.
and also the pop songs you chose for it, especially the scene while two killers lying half dead in the kitchen of Joe's house? Thank you.
Okay. First of all, Johnny Greenwood's I met him through, I sent him my movie, Kevin, and he really liked it, and I'm honoured, that he liked it enough to contribute some music. But we never did a massive score. I mean, he put a lot of music in that movie, but this one, I mean, we haven't had a lot of time, and he's just sent the most beautiful music, and some of it's really moving, and this is the next thing I really want to explore with the movie. As far as the radio tracks, that was written in the script. Like, we would jump tracks, and it would be just a channel what the mom might listen to, like kind of easy listening stuff. But the scene was meant to be a passage of time instead of normally, you shoot a guy, he dies, and that's the end of the story. This was like a different way of looking at that, that it might take a long time. So, yeah.
Question over there.
Hi, Chris Knight, National Post and Post Media in Canada. I have a similar question. I think we were all blown away by the soundtrack, the score, and the sound design in this film. If I were to see it again, I would want to do it with my eyes closed, just to drink all of that in. Can you talk a little bit more about the sound design specifically? And I was very curious about the music that sort of slips back and forth. I think you were saying a little bit about that as well. Something
Yeah.
I've never heard, I don't think, in a movie before.
Well, I've worked with the same sound designer through all my movies from my short films, and so we start the sound very early in the process, and sometimes producers don't really understand that. They think, oh, you do the picture edit and then you do the sound afterwards, and so sometimes people find it a bit strange, but we start right from the beginning, and sometimes we start with the music before. In fact, the next thing I do, I'd like to compose the soundtrack before I make the movie, or compose a soundtrack for a film that's never been made. That would be really interesting. But and then Johnny's just like a genius. I mean, and he's a very modest man. But his music, you have to listen to. He doesn't compose to picture. It's more a feeling. So, you have to really listen through everything he does. And I worked with a brilliant music editor, Graham Stewart as well. So I had a brilliant sound team, and Linda Forsen, who's a Swedish dialogue editor at Morgan Muse, who's a sound designer as well, and Paul Davis. So that team really, made this work in 5 days. Yeah.
Question over there.
Yes.
Morning, 5 days.
In a mix, I know.
5 days.
It was 5. It was crazy.
Morning, Roberto.
Obviously, a lot more work than that was involved. But sorry, you go. Yeah.
Sorry. Roberto from Italy, talkingmedia.com, internet company. It's a classic question of Cannes. There are more controversy about Netflix, about movie, internet, etc. Your movies was produced from Amazon Studios. What do you think about this problem? What do you think is right? This big company produce and distributes this movie by internet or not? For both, the question. Thank you so much.
I don't know a lot about what happened last week. I believe in movies being projected. Obviously everyone, going to the technical rehearsal, seeing a film in the big screen, that's an experience. So obviously as a filmmaker, I believe in that. But also Amazon helped to finance my film. Ted Hope is the head of Amazon, is a film buff, and he knows every movie, and he's really helped me. So, and I think there's some really good stuff coming with TV too. Like Twin Peaks and Top of the Lake. So, it's a tough time, but I really hope we always have theatrical releases. Yeah.
Ma'am.
My name is Mariana Kafka, National TV and Radio Company of Ukraine.
Yeah.
I have a question for Lynne.
Yeah.
What was the reason that you made this film? And this is really a story about the honest killer who would like to change his thinking, his way of life because of this young girl. What would you like to say to the audience?
I think you've described it better than me. You know, you really have. I mean, I wasn't trying to make that kind of movie. I tried to approach it in a different way, you know, and hopefully that's, you know, rewarding in some way, you know, like it's an experience. But I love genre movies. I grew up with genre movies, Mildred Pierce and All About Eve, and these amazing strong women characters. And, you know, I was brought up on that, and I loved them. So I'm hoping that people have that kind of experience watching the movie too. Yeah.
We'll take one more question. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rama Rashti.
Thanks,
Arabian Gazette.
Thank you.
Hi. I want to congratulate you for this movie because I was really moved yesterday.
Thank you.
And especially, I mean, technically the editing, the music, but especially the performance of Joaquin. I want to congratulate you very, very much for that.
Thank you.
My question is regarding, you know, this scene. The character of Joe is carrying his burden of life and his anguish and also strength, but also humanity. And this scene where he's singing with the that bodyguard or whatever security guard,
His mom, actually.
yeah, is very full of grace. And just after that, he's wearing a suit, which is the first time in the movie, and making this funeral for his mom is very the culmination of humanism. What is behind this scene specifically?
Well, I have to give a lot of credit to Judith Roberts, who played the mom, and she was in a Razorhead, and she's a really elegant lady, and I think that Joaquin and her had fun, and it just came across as a real relationship, and I think that's why that scene's a moving scene, you know. But yeah, I don't know where that came from. It just was like, I think in the book he just puts her in the water, but I felt like I had to be a bit more ritualistic than that. Yeah.
I'm afraid our time is up. Thank you very much, both of you, for being here.
Thank you all for being here. It's so nice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming here.
And all the best.
Thank you.